Hello everyone, how are you doing? My name is Radostina and today I'm finally showing you how to draw your own landscape illustration in Adobe Illustrator. In the past few weeks we've learned how to draw a couple of different trees and today we're going to use them in our background illustration. Well, it's not going to be today really because it turns out illustration like that takes quite a lot of time. So making this illustration ended up being about 2 hours long and I don't want to give you a 2-hour long video, so I'm going to cut it down, edit it down and condense it as much as possible, and then I'm further going to cut it into several parts. So this is part 1, and in part 1 we're going to do a couple of probably a bit more boring stuff, but it's unnecessary stuff. So why is an illustration like that taking so long? Well, there is quite a lot of planning and thinking and combining the right colors, thinking about the composition, and I didn't want to hide all this. I wanted to show the process as it is, even when it's messy, even when it's not super smooth. So it's a walk through my process as much as it's a tutorial. I think it can be followed as a tutorial, but it's not the most structured and straightforward tutorial you will get, just because I wanted to make it real. So today we are going to sketch and plan the composition of our landscape. Then we're going to put it in Adobe Illustrator and trace the basic shapes and also give those basic shapes some basic shading. That will be it. But I promise it's going to get much more interesting later on. So I recommend you put a little time aside, make yourself some nice tea or coffee or whatever fuels your creativity, and let's get to work. So let's draw a quick sketch of our landscape. First I'm going to draw a box that will represent our workspace. A good landscape has 3 elements: foreground, midground and background, and placing and planning those correctly will help make the picture look interesting. So I'm going to start here with a bit of a foreground, and on it I'm going to place one of our trees. Maybe it's a... I don't remember exactly how it looked, but maybe it's our spruce tree. I can always change it up later. This is just to guide us. And behind that we have the midground, so there'll be some more hills behind there. I want to create a bit of a line here that will guide the viewer inside the picture. And here, for balance, I'm going to place some spruce trees, for example. Again, this is just a sketch, this is just a guide. It's not important how these look. Yeah. And behind on this hill there will be like a forest there, so we'll be just able to see the tops of some spruce trees. It will be kind of like a silhouette. Behind that there will be maybe another one. I don't know even if we'll probably won't be able to see any individual trees behind there. And for background we will add some mountains, and behind those mountains there's more mountains, maybe something a bit taller. Yes, something like that, and that will be our landscape. There will be maybe some clouds up there. Yeah, the foreground will be the darkest. You probably know all of this, but okay. Yeah, that's it. Let's move on to the computer. So I'm in the same document as the trees we've made previously. I'm going to make a new artboard. I'm using the artboard tool right here, and then I'm going up to this new document, new artboard, clicking it, and here it is. I'm going to move it a little bit down, and I'm going to change the dimensions to, let's say, 1920 to 1080 pixels. I use this size a lot because I'm working with screens a lot, but you just choose something that's convenient to you depending on what you want to use this for. Maybe you want to print it. This is not so important at the moment. And let's place the sketch we made. I'm going to give it its own layer. I'm going to call it sketch. Yes. You can go in the folder where we have that sketch, drag it, place it over, and there it is. It's in our document. Then we just scale it a little bit down to sort of fit. Well, it doesn't really fit our proportions here, so yeah, I'm just going to change the proportions. We are working with vectors, so we can always scale up and down. It's really not that important. This is more about learning the techniques right now. And then I'm going to lock this layer by placing a little block in here and create a new one. And we're going to draw on this new layer. I'm going down here to the colors and picking black for outline, and we're going to sort of trace this a little bit. I'm using pen tool, but we're not going to do anything fancy with it. We're just pretty much going to be placing anchor points. We're going to start a little bit outside of the outline of the artboard and follow our mountains. Can of course improvise a little bit, and then we finish off the shape, close the shape like that. Actually, you know what, I think it will be better to use some kind of different colors so we can see our shapes where they are. How about this one? That's not really great. Maybe something bright like this. Yeah, I guess. All of this is going to change later on, so it doesn't really matter. Now there will be another mountain right behind this one, so let's draw that. All of this we can do even without a sketch, but I think it will be a bit more clear so we don't have to imagine everything all the time. Yeah, let's say something like that. And again, close the shape. We can also close it down here because that part won't be visible. We have all these hills in front of it. This background mountain, it actually should be behind the one we first drew. So we're going to select it and send it to the back with Control Shift and left square bracket on the keyboard, or you can always use the drop down menu with arrange and send to back, or just one step backwards like that. We need more mountains in the background. Okay, maybe one more. There'll be very little visible from this mountain, just few tops here and there. I don't know how this will look. We might rearrange it a bit, but we'll see about that. Like this, send this one to the back as well. Now let's do this hill. Again, the pen tool, I'm going to start on this side this time. It's very simple. I think that's all that's visible from this hill. This, then this next hill. Should I give it a little bit of a curve? No, we are going to cover it with trees, so that won't be really necessary. Although it might be nice to curve it a little bit down here. But let's just do simple. And this hill. This is actually just something like that. And finally this front hill. Very simple and geometric. Of course, all of this can be a little more rounded, but for the time being, again, let's keep it simple. Okay, I don't think we really need the sketch any longer. We are now going to add the sky, which is just going to be a big box behind everything. Like that. And yeah, we can continue. We can even hide or delete this layer. Now, to make sense of all this, I'm going to give all these shapes colors, but I'm not really going to bother about color so much right now. For now, we are going to use color for orientation, but we won't worry about how well it works. I'm gonna hit Shift and X to turn the stroke into fill color, and this is obviously not a great color for sky. Let's give it some blue. Then which one was the furthest back mountain? This one. It's going to be also something very pale. And the next mountain, it was this one. We're going to give it a bit of a darker color. Something like that. No, actually it might help for orientation to look at the sketch, but I'm going to move it a little bit here to the side and lock it again. Go back to our layer. So this hill is pretty far back. Then goes this hill. And this one. Okay, looking at this, I want to make a little bit of adjustment. I'm hitting A on the keyboard to bring the direct selection tool. I'm going to use it to adjust this mountain a little bit because I don't like it as much as it is right now. There's a lot of constant adjusting going on. The sky might be messing with us a little bit, so we are going to go and lock that shape. We just open the layer with this little arrow here, and we get all the shapes and paths, everything that is within this layer, and we can go to this one, the furthest back one, or since it's selected, it has this little square here showing us that this is active right now, and we can lock it so that we can't select it and it's not going to bother us. We're going to work again with it later on, but let's not worry about this for now. Just those mountains a tiny little bit. Now let's give them a little bit of shading. I'm going to go for the pen tool again and use a stroke, something that will be very easy to see, like like orange. And I'm gonna imagine that the light is coming from here somewhere, so the shadows will be falling on this side. And I'm going to draw a little bit of shadows. And let's give this a color. I'm going to give it some purplish color. And I'm going to go into opacity, change the blending mode to multiply, and the opacity all the way down to 20%, I think, maybe even 10. So this is going to be our shadow on this mountain. So we can select both the shadow and the mountain and Control G to group them. And then using Control and left square bracket, we can send them again back to the background like this. And we're going to do the same with all the other shapes. Give them a bit of a shadow. To give this shape the same adjustments as this one, we can hit I and bring the eyedropper tool. Click on this layer, and it's going to give the one that we had selected the same color, the same blending mode, the same opacity. And now it's looking a little bit confusing, but bear with me. And now we just select the shadow and the mountain shape, group them again, and send them back. I think the furthest mountain doesn't need a shadow. But I'm going to give a little bit of shadow to the Now I don't know what you think, but it seems to me that adding these shadows gave the whole thing a little bit of dimension. So that was everything for today. I hope it wasn't too tricky to follow along, and let me know in the comments if you had any questions and if I can help you in any way to understand better what I'm trying to explain here. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe and return next week so we can continue this journey together and see what we're going to create. I really hope these are helpful and looking forward to see you next time. Until then, have fun!